Good now, everyone. I hope this broadcast finds you well. My name's Artorius Winchester, Scholar of the Dreaming Glade, and this stream, I'm just going to be chatting about some ideas that I'm excited to share the kind of very bare-bones scaffolding of anyway with you. And try and get some ideas nailed down for upcoming streams, because I reckon I've been streaming for about, just over 3 months now. Is it 4? 3 or 4 months now. And I think I'm kind of past the point where I can say, oh, I'm just settling into it as an excuse to do, the kind of, some of the content I've been doing, which has not been bad, but it has been very kind of like easy, low-hanging fruit stuff. I want to try and, push what I'm doing out there a bit, I suppose. And also, I want to get back into one of the main reasons why I started kind of content creation, as it were, which is I want to teach people about fighting games. I want to, put out stuff that will help people get better, or be able to answer people's questions should they stop by my streams. I think streaming in particular, that's like a big part of what I think, chat interaction would be good for me. But obviously, I need the prerequisite setup for that. And this stream will be largely about that, but also about other bits of content, and then whatever other tangents I happen to go off. One of which I'm going to have to go off on immediately. This is completely unrelated to all that other stuff I just spoke about. But one thing I am going to have to bring up, because it's been on my mind all day. It's basically what I've thought about all day, aside from this stream tonight. Did anyone catch the Lackadaisy pilot that came out earlier today? Because I sure did. And wow, it's good. Like, I love that thing. That thing's style is absolutely phenomenal. Like, I've always been a big fan of, like, the kind of Art Deco, swing music kind of, that kind of whole vibe, I guess. And the Lackadaisy stuff really nails it and puts it in a nice kind of, like, cartoony story with it as well. I had a bunch of cats stealing alcohol. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it after the stream. But go and watch it, because, man, it's good stuff. And, yeah, it's sent me on a little, kind of, like, dive back down the electro swing rabbit hole on YouTube, where I've just been listening to lots of that all day. And it's been a great time, yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of get that one off my chest, I guess, before we jumped into things. What else is there? Oh, yeah. Suppose I should probably ask if everyone's doing alright in the chat. As you can probably tell, I've had an immensely productive day, just watching Lackadaisy and then kind of fixating on Lackadaisy for a bit. Who knows when that's going to wear off, but hey-ho. Right, then. Oh, that's something else I was meant to do as well. I've, hopefully this doesn't freak out too much in the background, but I've got a little playlist of, just some rounds of Strive I played a while ago, when back in the before times when the servers worked. Just me versus a Millia, which isn't too common a matchup. So I'm literally just gonna have these 5 or so matches, just kind of on loop in the background as some, kind of, it's a nice kind of thing to visually put on. Eventually, I suppose, when I'm doing these just chatting streams, if I do want a little window up like this, then I can totally, grab some more matches. But this was very much I sat down at 5:2 and was like, I'm going to push the stream back by 15 minutes just to see if I can get this to work. And the answer is kind of. So, let's get that going. I'll get my cursor off it. And hey-ho, we're in. There we go. So now we've got something to watch in the... Well, yeah, people have got something to watch in the background while they listen to me natter on. But yes, anyway. So first thing I wanted to talk about is, as I mentioned kind of at the start, currently I've been doing some not bad content, but it's been very just, like, I play the game and comment on it and I try and explain my reasoning. Which is, no bad thing. And it probably will, like, I'm not going to say that's not going to be the lifeblood of my channel anymore or that, because, setting up other bits of content takes a lot more time, and I only have so many hours in a day. But I do want to do other things. I've just realized, actually. That is fascinating. No, wait, hold on, sorry. I forgot that on a delay. I thought for some reason that the YouTube stream was reversing the directions of my replay for some reason that I've got going. But no. It's just on a delay, so the character's in the other position however many seconds ago that it was. So I forgot I keep this thing on a huge delay pretty normally. Just because of like the poker streams, that's it. Really, I suppose I should set it to as low as possible unless it's a poker stream and then crank it back up. But yeah. It's probably something to do later. Figure that out. But yeah, anyway, sorry. Tangent again, which in a way is kind of like, uh-oh, I've done a tangent, I've done a bad, but also I'm pleasantly surprised by tangents at this point. I've never found that this kind of free-form speech thing comes to me naturally, so any kind of like, any way in which I can keep talking to myself for a bit, I suppose, is a win in my book, And maybe that's just me. It's also probably why I don't do a lot of these kind of just Zatsudan just chatting kind of streams. But this one's dual purpose. It's obviously, first and foremost as a chatting stream, just to see how any of my viewers who are tuning at the time are doing, and maybe to get their opinions if they happen to stop by. But also, it's for me to get kind of like my kind of ducks in a row, as it were. See if I can get some of my ideas down and recorded so I can look back at them later. But yeah, and also, maybe this will give some other enterprising folks some ideas. And I can say, hey, look, okay, Oy. Sorry, just got distracted by something there. Oh, interesting. Huh. Hold on. That warrants a screenshot. That, YouTube, what? Hold up a second. Okay. I'm gonna bring that up on. Hold up. Sorry, I've just seen something very, very strange that, how does that even happen? Let me add source, to my OBS image. Create new. I'm gonna call it what? So, yeah. I know perhaps this isn't my most high energy start to a stream, but YouTube, my guy. How are you going to tell me I've got -1 viewers? That's impressive. Like, what? I've got -1? How does that happen? What? That's crazy. Alright then. Well, all the more reason to not trust my YouTube analytics and just go off of people I actually see talking in chat, because that ain't right. I don't know how we've got, or how it was even programmed to go to -1. Like, I guess maybe it's, based off a couple of other things that happen to do minus numbers anyway, but like, surely there should be a sanity check in there. My coding background is disagreeing with this. Like, what is this? What is it? But, hey ho, I'll hide that for now anyway. Is yeah, wow, that's really bizarre. That is thoroughly bizarre. But anyway, trying to get roughly back on the beaten path here. I am almost 10 minutes in and I haven't even started talking about the stuff I was going to talk about. Go me, look at me being a professional streamer where they do that like all the time. A toast to slowly getting better at the things that I'm not so great at. Which is, again, nothing fancy, just a glass of water. Because it is the middle of the week, and I don't drink then. Yeah. Right, but anyway. So let me edit this text here. To bring up the first point I wanted to bring up. So, fighting game content in the future. Now, obviously, the three kind of lifebloods of my channel are fighting games, like, first and foremost, poker, a close second, and then, purely because of how much time it takes to prepare, a kind of distant third is the cocktail streams. None of those are going away, obviously. And as I've kind of mentioned already, I think the lifeblood of, you know, those fighting game streams, like the main thing we're going to do with them, is still, you know, like our kind of ranked grind streams and that. But so far, it's been mainly just Strive with a bit of a Street Fighter 6 beta splashed in. And neither of those are available now. So I guess for the next, you know, at least until we get the Strive servers fixed, or until Bedman comes out, we're gonna need something else. Yeah, we're gonna need something else to play. So I was thinking for the immediate future, maybe I do a Plus R stream next week. Or, you know, because, yeah. Maybe I could do a Plus R stream next week, or maybe I could kind of do a game I haven't played in a very long while. I could do a bit of Skullgirls. I can't promise I'll be any good at either of those games, but they are fighting games, and in a way, I'd like to play some more games on stream that I'm not as familiar with, because I think seeing that learning process could be quite good. But in a way, I almost want to wait until I've announced some of the other stuff on my stream that I was going to mention later, to do with, like, you know, content I'm looking at in the future. This is all very rambly, isn't it, I suppose? I hope that's not too much of a problem. It's going to be quite rambly and all over the place because, as I said, fairly unpracticed in this whole Zatsudan thing, and I'm trying to go for a bit more rambly, but not, like, unfollowably rambly. So, I'll try and keep this bit fairly, somewhat concise anyway. So fighting game content in the future. We are obviously, still going to be playing Strive, when it's fixed. Now, I bring up when it's fixed there. What I think this kind of server outage, or, like, you know, tower outage, is really going to push me to do, which is also something I could do next week, maybe, instead of the Plus R, which might be a plan, actually, is I wanted to do some streams where I study specific matchups by just, say, hailing someone from character Discord server and being like, hey, you know, you're good at this character. I'm, like, okay at Jacko. Do you want to play, like, a first to, like, 20 or something? And then I could play that first to 20, or maybe even a couple of first to 10s against a couple of different people who don't mind being on stream. And then I could look at a couple of their different play styles. I could, you know, really kind of go in on the replay analysis afterwards. And I think doing that, and then maybe I could distill that into a video and be like, I played, you know, this many matches of this matchup and against a couple of different good people. And here's what I found. You know, little kind of, like, shorter matchup guides. Because the one thing I notice about a lot of fighting game content is that there's guides out the wazoo for, like, you know, how you start in fighting games. How, you know, neutral works. There's a lot, depending on how deep you want to read into that. You know, there's tons of character guides. There's tons of, like, little bits of disconnected, you know, bits of tech on Twitter. Although I suppose that'll be going away with Twitter burning down. Which, to be fair, I'm surprised hasn't happened already. But, yeah. So we've got, like, lots of stuff like that. The one thing I never really see, for me, is, like, matchup knowledge in video form. So I think, you know, even if my content essentially amounts to, hey, watch out for these things, or we have, you know, X character has a good answer to this with Y button, or Y bit of movement, or whatever, you know, if I can play my matches and then distill a couple of, like, useful tools, I think that would be, like, really good for intermediate players. And be kind of a little niche that I can do that I don't see widely covered, because I'm aware that, you know, if I want to kind of be someone who can eventually teach fighting games, which is my goal. You know, it's something I'd very much like to do. I'd like to share my passion, my hobby, with others who are interested. In order to do that, though, in order to do it on stream, you know, I've got to make sure that A, it's entertaining, and B, it's informative. And I think, you know, something like that fits both bills. But yeah. So, more Strive. Tower when it's fixed. I'm going to have a look, probably this weekend, actually, and see if I can flag someone down from... I'll be honest, I want to do the, I want to do Zato first. I want to get into the Zato Discord server and see if I can find a couple of fine folk who wouldn't mind giving me a first to 10 on stream. And hey, those might go like 2 0-10s where I just don't win a single match. But I'll learn something from them. And hopefully they're, you know, actually good sports about it as well. And would be like, if I keep falling for one thing repeatedly, I can be like, hey, you know... No, they can be, sorry. Did I say I? I meant they. They can be like, hey, if you do this, you know, or like the gap for this is here. So that we can all kind of like learn a bit faster. And I will obviously reciprocate in case there's anything there not sure of in the Jacko matchup. So there's a couple of weird little things. Like, don't try and YRC or burst blue masked minions. It does not work. They will just slap you. Don't try and do anything to blue masked minions, actually. Even if you hit Jacko, if I, like... There's a very famous, well, somewhat famous, I guess, clip of, like, Jacko doing an attack command with a blue masked minion, and Gold Lewis firing, like, in the entirety of his minigun at Jacko. And, like, the servant tanks every single hit of the minigun, and then swings. It's glorious. But, yeah, anyway, enough on, I don't know how I got into specific Jacko matchup things. But, yeah. So, fighting game content in the future. More Strive. Next game I want to play a lot of, ooh, there we are. Should be no surprise. Street Fighter 6. When that comes out, I'm going to be playing a lot of that. I'm going to do probably an entire week of just streams when that comes out. So, and I also, like, there's a bunch of different characters I want to try. So I want to spend a little more time with Yuri, because I feel like I got some of her very basics worked out in the beta. But, like, there's Feng Shui and there's other stuff like that that I could really, like, benefit from knowing more about. And, like, you know, getting my combo game in that game sorted. Because, you know, in the beta where I played it, it was okay. It was, like, serviceable, but it could definitely have used a bit more, you know, time in training mode, which you kind of got in the beta, but not really. Do excuse me. But yeah, so that's something that I want to do. I won't subject anyone to combo trials. Obviously, like, I think what I'll probably do is on that week where I'm streaming and be like, spend the morning bashing out, you know, a couple of decent combos and spend the afternoon just 5 minutes in training mode, showing them off to the stream, and then just hop into matches and see if we can work out stuff from there. And I want to do this for a bunch of characters. So I've mentioned Jury. I believe I mentioned Manon in either the beta stream or some stream since. But yeah, Manon, huge buttons, grappler, looks very fun. And then I think the other character who really interests me at the minute would be E. Honda. He looks like a lot of fun. Being another kind of like, I guess like pseudo grappler. Yeah, he looks like an absolute ton of fun. And kind of like a giant meme. Like, his characterization is really good. So yeah, I wanna kind of maybe focus on those three initially, and then if there's someone else who like catches my eye, like maybe JP. Maybe. I've just remembered JP exists and he does look very cool. But yeah, I should probably stick to Jury, Manon, and E. Honda. And then I shall play those for like, I don't know, a couple of days each on that week. And then I shall try and I shall try and, like, find a main, I suppose. Or if I don't like any of those three. Because I was like, alright with Jury, but, like, it was in a, like... When I left her, it was in a take it or leave it kind of scenario. I mean, granted, I feel like I was using about a third, if that, of her toolkit, which could be why I felt like I was struggling. Like, particularly when you see what some people who've been playing the crack, as it were, have been doing. Like, you know, they've been doing some really, really insane stuff with some of the characters. But yeah, I shall do what I can, you know, to learn as soon as the game comes out. I shall try and pick a main out of those three. If I'm really not feeling those three, I can try other characters. But yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be between Jury, Manon, and E Honda, and it's just going to be who I, like, prefer most. I'll be honest, at the moment, again, subject to change in the future, but at the moment I'm really leaning E Honda. He's goofy, and I like him. But yeah, so aside from that, what other games we have? We have, oh, that's not Shift. Oh, Rezigan. There we are. Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising. Now, I played a lot of Granblue Fantasy Versus when it came out. I really liked that game. It wasn't everyone's cup of tea. And obviously, as the player base dwindled, the chances of finding matches just got, like, really bad. But, like, back when that thing launched, like, loved that game. Particularly my man Loane, who is goofy as all hell, and yeah, I'm very kind of interested in picking him back up, or maybe trying out some of the new characters. Because, like, I'll be honest, I think the last character I was around to see added was Zoe, who I also played a bit of. But like, I didn't see any characters past that, so I've never played against like a Kagi or a Belial or what the fox dude with the guns? Is it like Eustace? Something like that? But yeah. Or I guess that the baby grandpa or the wand, what's his name, like Zero or something. But yeah. I'll be looking forward to hopping back in that game. Whether I like pick it back up again seriously. And by seriously I mean you know, get proficient enough where I feel like I'm comfy teaching in it. Like, I would like to, but at the moment, obviously, and to be fair, it's not entirely my fault because Tribe servers are pampering practice somewhat. But I feel like having enough time to focus on being not the best in the world, but decent enough where I can teach new players things. In Strive, in Street Fighter 6, and in Granblue, is spreading my time a bit thin. And obviously this isn't even talking about, like, you know, Tekken 8 coming out, and if people want to learn that. Or there's, what else is there? There's a KOF game out at the minute that's pretty cool. I think there's meant to be, like, an MK in the works or something. I'm not 100% on what's going on with that. But, like, I think I've heard rumor that might be on its way. Because, like, I've never touched an MK or a KOF in my life. I think I've only very lightly touched Tekken 7, and that was purely because I found that Negan had an armor move and thought it was hilarious. As well as, you know, the fact that Negan was there and he was hilarious. Like, every single one of those clips you see on Twitter where it's just Negan in, like, a ridiculous costume and he just walks up and says, "I hope you've got your shitting pants on." It's just fucking great. Like, I absolutely love that. Oh, God, it's so goofy. But I, like, you know, that's, in a way, that's what I look for in characters, really. I just want them to be silly. Like, Jacko is silly because I eat children at people. King DDD, who was my beloved main back when I played, like, a lot of, like, semi-pro Smash Ultimate, was a big goofy penguin, and you could, like, never kill him, which was fantastic. Because it was so funny to see people get, like, why isn't this guy dying? And it's just, like, it's just this chubby penguin who lobs spiky balls at you. Yeah, he was silly. E-Honda looks definitely, like, not on the too silly side, but, like, he's definitely goofy. And I vibe with goofy. And then Luane is the absolute king of, like, me and the boys have the power of God and anime on our side. And if that's not, like, a goofy aesthetic, then I don't know what is. But yeah, truly, truly great stuff. But yeah, so, and then mixing into those games as well, like I've mentioned earlier, you know, possibly might throw a bit of Plus R in there. Possibly might throw in some Skullgirls, you know, if we get, you know, kind of gaps in the schedule that need filling, shall we say. Possibly, and I haven't played this in a long while, and also I think, like, to be fair, the netcode on it is kind of dodgy as well, but I do want to get one stream, maybe at some point, of me going back to Under Night, because that's a game I loved a lot. My man Gordo, not necessarily goofy, but, like, I think this is the one exception to, like, the goofy rule, because he was just cool enough that it did not matter. Like, if I wanted goofy, I'd play Mika, but Mika's like, it's the wrong kind of goofy. But yeah, Gordo was so cool. And also, all of the music in that game is godlike. And yeah, just a really fun game, honestly. Like, I love the grid system. The grid system is great. But yeah, been a very long while since I've played that. Must be about 4 years now or something. Yeah. But so that's I guess the scope of fighting games I'm going to be trying to play in the future. That's what I'm thinking of at the minute. Oh, just checking. My view count is rapidly oscillating between 1 and -1 at the minute, apparently. Which again, how am I getting -1 viewers? Which one of you, like, is made of antimatter or something, apparently? So, like, you count as, like, a negative view. Like, how does that work? I mean, you're welcome here all the same. But still, like, you know, you're a scientific miracle, whoever you are. Anyway. Next thing I wanted to talk about, now that we've got this done, is, fighting game stream types. And I believe I've touched on this a little bit earlier. But, like I said, it's something I wanted to get my thoughts out about. And, you know, let you guys kind of know what kind of stuff I'm cooking up in the future. So, as I stated earlier, we've got our kind of, you know, ranked or equivalent grind streams. So, yeah, ranked or equivalent grind streams. These are fairly self-explanatory. It's like, I go to the tower in Strive, and I play some matches, and I hope to get Celestial, or I go to, the, you know, ranked in Street Fighter 6, and I hope not to get sent back to Bronze. God, yeah, I really do need to. There's another game that's possibly as well. Maybe I can get back some Street Fighter 5, because I was like, you know, I wasn't anything special, but I think I got to, like, high silver, low gold with Gil at one point. And that was, you know, that was a thing. But that was also, like, even longer ago than Unist, so that was a long, long time ago. At least I think it was. Was Gil even out 4 years ago in Street Fighter 5? He probably wasn't, actually, so it must have been later than that. Yeah, no, it was, yeah, because... Yeah, I'm remembering things going around. Okay, so it was not as long ago as Unist. As you can probably tell by the fact that I'm saying Unist and not Uniclear, it's been a while. But, yeah, still a very long time ago. And I could do with playing a bit more to get myself back in that Street Fighter kind of like muscle memory mindset. But yeah. So we've got some ranked or equivalent streams. The next kind of stream I wanted to potentially do, and this will need some thinking about, so, which again, why I wanted to discuss this on stream. Oh. Right, does that run off the edge? Oh, I need to remove one of the exclamation marks. How about that? That'll do. Right. So labbing, and by labbing, I mean not just doing combos. Because Nobody wants to see me, you know, sit there in training mode and go, oh, I missed. Oh, I missed. You know, it's all right as like a little supplement to the stream while there's not, you know, much else going on. But I don't think a full 2 or 3 hour stream of me sitting there trying to hit combos is, you know, particularly great for anyone. Like, you know, there's better things I could be doing with that stream time, really. You know, if I want to do it as kind of like, you know, a Zatsu thing, that's cool, I guess. But then also, it's going to take me longer to learn the combo in question because I'm going to have to divert my attention between getting my muscle memory right and chatting to chat. So that's, you know, something to consider, shall we say. So if I'm not going to do combos, then my labbing streams have to have a point. There has to be things I can investigate and talk about. Which, I'll be honest, you know, for all my time playing fighting games, is not something I've done a lot of. I'm not normally, you know, what you'd call a lab monster. If anything, I'm somewhat allergic to the bleeding place. And I'd really like to change that. So, what I need to do, I need to go in with a set list of things, like, you know, or, like, you know, this character has this. Is there something I can do with it? Is there, like, a goofy setup I can make? Or, this opposing character, you know, does this thing. What are my options to get out of it? And try and recreate situations. And I think doing that on stream is both more beneficial for the viewer, because if I'm doing that kind of finding stuff out, then my toil essentially gives you a tool you can use in your games later. And also, it just generally makes for a more interesting stream for me, because it's not just grinding a combo. Like, if there's... Like, I don't mind doing a stream where I sit in training mode, but there has to be points I'm hitting. Like, there has to be things I'm figuring out. And what those things are, like I said, I need to technically spend a bit longer cooking those ideas. Because I'm not a huge lab person normally, but I'd like to be better at it. And I think, you know, putting something on stream gives me a very hard and fast excuse to not just get, like, immediately distracted after, like, 5 minutes and be like, oh, well, yep. Guess I've been on YouTube for the past hour now. Whoopsie. And yeah, so some kind of like labbing streams would be kind of cool. Particularly in games where I'm like a bit less familiar with, well, no, actually. Not in games where I'm less familiar with. In games where I'm familiar with combo structure, but I want to work out, like, you know, different setups. Like, in fairness, I can't believe I haven't done this with Jacko yet, 'cause thinking about it, she is like the queen of getting things, like, her Oki is really good and it's really varied. It's like, you know, you've got, I think the classic thing I do is say, even just off of, like, say, sweep. Generally, I don't do a lot off of sweep. Like, I will oft-times, like, auto-input servant kick. And I apologize if you're tuning into this and you've got... Excuse me. And you've got little to no idea of Strive. And I kind of go off on a very detailed tangent here. But I do this a lot with Jacko, where I'll sweep, and then I'll autopilot kick, and I'll be like, why did I do that? There's so many better things you could do. And then occasionally when I'm not doing that, I'll sweep, and then I'll, like, throw a minion. But you can do so many other things with, like, jumping forward, dropping a minion, and then, like, air dashing back at certain times for, like, 4-way mix. Or you can do, like, I'm pretty sure you can loop that kind of pressure quite well. It's, like... And that's just off sweep, you know, we've got throw setups, we've got what I do with, like, red flag. You know, there's a lot of this stuff that's already been worked out. But it's also good to kind of, like, compare and contrast the different things Jacko can do. Because, like, you know, the setup isn't always going to be the best way for sweep. Like, sometimes just kicking someone away from you is better. Like, you know, if that person is pot or gold Lewis. Like, yeah, you could, you know, you could try and do, like, the jump forward thing, but then they're going to, like, you know, lean HBB or system you, or, in Pot's case, you know, like, Heat Knuckle, or in Gold Lewis's case, just 6p, I guess, if you're, like, directly above them, and it's, like, probably gonna ruin your day. Or maybe that's just because I'm, like, kind of bad at inputting things. But yeah, so in those cases, I'm just thinking, like, you know, kick would be the better option just to get them away and then continue your zoning. But it's those kind of ideas that I want to explore in a sort of labbing stream. Like, okay, we've got this tool. When's it good? When's it bad? You know, when do I use it? Are there any other tools I can get from, you know, or any other kind of things I can do from this scenario that help me out more? So like, yeah, I guess another example would be throws. Like, I normally do like a throw, jump up, throw minion forward, and then like land as like a safe jump. But I could probably get mixed from that if the safe jump is like, you know, getting predictable, which to be fair, it should be. It's the only bloody thing I do off throw. But yeah. So there's room for thought there. And I guess finally, at least from a solo, you know, from a solo just me playing thing. And ooh, it's capital A. We're gonna have some matchup learning and like analysis streams. Now these are the ones I've kind of touched on earlier, but I'll go over them again now. It's just where I'm gonna be, you know, with my chosen main in the game, or maybe just with a character I know, so I can give a different view on the matchup. Because I could always do, like, you know, in the future, maybe I get, you know, to the point where I learn a character for a little while, like, and then, I go and challenge some people who are pretty good at the game, once I'm feeling kind of comfy with that character. And then I report back on, like, the matchups and what I do in them. And then, yeah, I kind of turn that into small videos. I think that could be quite cool. And I also think it could, like, fill a niche in the kind of, like, fighting game learning kind of, like, content market. Because you know, I don't want to rehash other people's stuff. You know? I can say it my own way, sure, but, like, there's a lot, you know, there's a lot of things out there that have already been done a lot of times. And some of them have been done really fucking well. Like, I'm not, you know, I'm not out here to try and, you know, kind of change, you know, change the, I guess, grammatical constructions in someone else's perfectly constructed thing. Like, if someone's got a good, you know, a good version of something, then that's good. What I want to do is I want to make something different that's helpful, or at least something that I don't see a lot of that I think could be helpful. And these little video matchup things, are definitely something I want to be looking into. So, yeah, more news on them, I think, hopefully soon. Like I said, I'm going to try and get my first one of these streams as like a little prototype, you know, a little test, set up next week. And I've said it on stream now, so I have to hold myself to it. I'm going to do it. And yeah, we're gonna see how that goes, I suppose. Could be fun, could be fun. Right, now for, after what, 45 or so minutes? Time to get in. Dojol, excuse you. Yeah. Right, we're gonna get into what this stream's kind of, named about, or at least what the thumbnail has written on it. The dojo. Now, you might be thinking, so what is this dojo thing you want to do? I guess the dojo would be very much an, not an end goal, but like a longer term goal that I really want to do. Because as I said, you know, I want to help people get better at fighting games. I want to teach them things. And I've been thinking, what is there, like, out there that, you know, what is there currently out there that people can access? Because we live in a time where fighting games are a hell of a lot easier to get into than they used to be, for, like, people who are interested. However, there are still certain walls that I think get in people's way. And this is not just talking about fighting games from, like, oh, you know, lean pretzel input hard or whatever kind of thing. It's about, like, a mentality thing almost. So, what I want to do is, I I want to kind of help get over that as well as the matchup things. 'Cause I think that's not something that's addressed too much. So, how do I plan to do that? The idea is, the dojo is going to be a series of streams. I'm not sure how many. I need to decide on an end, like a kind of start point, end point for these things. But they're going to be a series of streams where I take, you know, a group of, say, 4 to 6 VTubers or content creators who, like, want to learn fighting games, but have never touched them or have got, like, very little experience or, like, went online once and got, you know, completely ass blasted by someone who knows what they're doing. And I'm going to have almost kind of like a little class where I teach them, you know, all the basics, all the things that, you know, are worth knowing to a beginner and to an intermediate, you know, eventually. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and set it up so that, like, we learn a thing and then we play matches where we practice it against each other. So that way, like, if I have a class of 4 to 6, you know, people who all don't know what they're doing, it sort of heavily reduces the chance that, you know, I'm going to teach someone something and then they're going to go online and then, like, you know, like, the world's just going to, like, collapse around them, essentially. Because they're going to see someone do some, like, really heinous stuff that they, like, don't even understand yet. I think having that kind of small, you know, group of, like, hey, these are, like, you know, in a sense, it's almost kind of like, and this is a weird comparison, but it's almost like like a generation for, like, a VTuber agency. Or, like, a wave, or whatever you want to call them. It's like, you know, this is your group of people. If you're struggling for matches against, you know, others, you guys play against each other because you should all be the same sort of level. And I feel like, you know, having that kind of a, safe space is probably the wrong word. But, that kind of like a group where, you know, you can all kind of like laugh and joke and learn things, against each other there is really useful. And like I say, I think it's something that, like, it's something that I think could make, you know, obviously pretty good content. Just seeing a group of, you know, other content creators really kind of getting to grips with it and learning by playing against each other. So, like, newbies versus newbies. Because I think if you do that, there's a lot of things in fighting games where, like, I was thinking about this earlier, actually, and it's like, when you're first coming into fighting games, one of the, first things that, like, in a lot of games that people tell you to do is, once you've, you know, this is assuming you know, like, your controls and that, is they say, right, you know, learn a basic combo, learn an anti-air combo. Now, as a beginner, you might not think, oh, why specifically anti-air, you know? Like, what's so special about that? But I think if we, like, you know, if you have a set of complete new, like, beginners, then the need for anti-air combos and why they're so good will kind of arise naturally as people learn, like, you know, jump-ins and that. So if I structure this in a kind of clever way, so for example, and this is kind of stealing a bit from Core A Gaming because they had this good idea, but I think it would make good stream as well. Let's say I have 4 new players and I say, pick a character that looks cool, doesn't matter which one. And then after that I say, right, we're going to play, you know, a couple of rounds against each other. Actually, no, before that I'd probably, like, talk about the whole strike throw, like, strike throw block kind of rock paper scissors thing, and, you know, maybe introduce the concept of RPS there. And by RPS I just mean that, like, fighting games are, like, I don't mean, like, hard RPSing as in, like, I guess what Deb would call RPSing. I've been watching a lot of Deb recently. Very good, love her streams. Yeah, but not what Dev would call, like, hard RPSing, was in, like, you know, pushing buttons to force another option out of someone or other. I watched that video recently as well. That's very good. I guess that video stream highlights. But yeah, but I'm just going to be essentially explaining that, like, fighting games are essentially, you know, like, anywhere between 2 and 7 games with rock, paper, scissors stacked on top of each other. And, like, they're nothing more complicated than that. Like, if you can play rock, paper, scissors, you can play a fighting game. Yeah, where was I going with this? Rock, paper, scissors. Oh, yeah, that was it. So I'd probably say, like, hey, okay, pick a character. And then, like, you know, grabs beat blocking. Blocking beats being hit. Being hit beats grabs most of the time. Strive's a bit weird in that grabbing will beat it a lot of the time anyway, just because it's 2 frames. But, yeah. I'd then probably say, okay, we're gonna, like I said, do something that the core A gaming does a lot. And we're gonna play a game where the only 2 moves you do, or the only 3 things you do, are sweep, block, and throw. And yeah, so and then we could like play some games like that, and then maybe I could say, okay, now instead of just sweeping, I'm gonna say you can like air dash in at people. And then people will probably very quickly find that that's a way easier way to get in than like just trying to sweep in. So then I can teach them anti-airs. And I can kind of build a curriculum like that. Like I said, that's a very rough and ready example. Like there's a lot of things I need to work out in that space. And I think, you know, it kind of leads on to the first big question that I need to work out. Is that how you spell that? Yeah, kind of like, what's my curriculum? And what's the end goal / point? So, oh, sorry, excuse me, something in my eye. Ow. Yeah, I think we got it. Right. But yeah, so first things first, before I do this, I need to work out what my curriculum is. Like, you know, what do I think are the most important things for a new fighting game player to learn in order to get, you know, better at fighting games? You know, how much theory do I need to go into, and how much do I need to not? Because obviously, even what I was saying there, you know, like I mentioned RPSing, I went off on a whole tangent about that. Like, a new player isn't necessarily going to know that. They're going to need to know to, like, you know, block the high moves and, we'll say, yeah, block the overheads high and the, what I meant to say, not just block the high moves, yeah. Like, block the overheads high, block the sweeps low, you know, tech the grabs, and, you know, learn about kind of, like, plus and minus frames at some point. Which are all examples of things like, you know, just very basic things I could teach them, but, like, okay, once we've got past those basics, how much further do we go? How far do I want to extend my curriculum? And at what point do I say, like, right, you are good enough now, go and terrorize the rank ladder with what you've learned? And what I do want to make a centerpiece of my curriculum, and I've just thought of this now as well, is that, like, it's all very well teaching people very specific things about, like, a specific game. Because obviously, you know, I've been taking Strive as an example here. It could be that a group of 4 to 6 VTubers wants to learn Street Fighter 6. When that comes out, and I've got to be in a position where I can be, you know, I've got to really grind that game hard week 1. Because you know, if I want to do this, I've got to be in a position where I'm, you know, at least, you know, somewhat more knowledgeable, shall we say, than my students. Not saying that I have to completely beat them every time. In fact, if anything, I think that'd make some cracking, like a cracking stream if, you know, the student becomes the master, as it were. Or if they do, then, you know, I can also show them kind of my learning process or how I get around that sort of thing. But yeah. So, what I want to... Back to the point I was going to say, the thing I just thought of. What I want to embed into my curriculum as well is not just, you know, oh, press these buttons in a row and you're good. Or, you know, like, oh, just block, you know, like, just block the sweep slow and just block the overheads high forehead. Because, like, that's not necessarily the most helpful thing. What I want to teach people is that, like, okay, if you come across this thing, you know, here's places, you know, here's places like, here's training mode where you can go and maybe look this stuff up. Or, if not, you know, there's probably a YouTube video out there with a character guide that says, like, hey, you know, if someone does this to you, do this. And also, like, I think a lot about the mentality of fighting games, because that's one of the hardest things to grasp, I think. Because, like, fighting games are amazing in that they have a very high, like, I guess that's called, like, a satisfaction curve, in that, like, you learn the thing, you do the thing, and then you feel godlike. But they can also be really tough in that, like, when you get hammered, it is solely your fault, and, like, enough of that in a row can feel, like, pretty bad. But, to paraphrase a Gabriel quote, and I absolutely will be using this from the dojo streams at some point, but to paraphrase a quote from Gabriel of Guilty Gear fame, a second-rate warrior loses matches, a third-rate warrior loses to themselves, but a first-rate warrior has done both many times. Which is a fucking fantastic quote. And yeah, like, a kind of a motto to live by, honestly. And I say that coming from, like, a point of personal kind of pride, I guess, because, like, fighting games, for me, are a bit more than just, you know, just, like, a kind of a niche hobby that I get really into. They, like, were a lot of what I played during a slightly darker period in my life, and they really helped, like, turn my mentality around, so I could, like, focus on bigger and better things. And so for me, like, it holds quite a personal, like, sentimental value, I suppose. And it's also why I'm so keen on, like, teaching this to other people, because, like, you know, fighting games are so much more than, you know, push buttons, get flashy combo. If that were the sole appeal to them, then, like, you know, you'd lose interest after, what, like, you know, 15 minutes or so. It's just like, I have pushed the buttons, I've got the flashy combo, I am done here. But there's so much more depth to, like, the mind games and the, you know, like, the mental stack, the, you know, the preventing yourself from tilting, which is something I carried over into poker. Thank you for the hearts in chat. But, yeah, it's something I'm very passionate about embedding into my curriculum as well. It's not just, this is how you get good at this game, but, like, you know, first off, here's the basics of this game, here's the basics of all fighting games, here's, you know, what frame data is and why you need to, like, and why you don't need to be terrified of it. Here's what because, you know, essentially you just need to know, is it plus or is it minus? In most games, anyway. I met amazing friends through, words. Sorry, I'll try that again. I met amazing friends through fighting games despite not playing much nowadays, so can relate. Exactly, yeah. And, like, the fighting game community is truly, like, you know, truly awesome. And getting, like, you know, like, I guess reduce, in a way, allowing more people to experience it, I view as a good thing, you know? Because if you have all those people who are, like, you know, kind of committed to making themselves better, or even not, you know, maybe not even going as far as that, because not everyone has to be like, you know, I must be Evo #1, but at least people who can, like, understand and follow the flow, and, like, you know, can pull some nice stuff out every now and then. Like, you don't have to be, like, the second coming of Sonic Fox or anything, but you just gotta be, you know, just be nice with it occasionally. Or just, you know, be nice enough so that you can have fun, is a much better way of putting that. Like, as long as you're happy with where you are, then, you know, that's, at the end of the day, that's where the magic is. But, yeah, so going slightly off that personal tangent, back to dojo stuff, where was I? Oh, yeah, about my curriculum. So, yeah, instead of just teaching one, you know, okay, this is how you get good at this game, I want, like, you know, here's the basics of all fighting games. So, you know, like, you jump into your anti-air combos that are almost ubiquitous. The fact that, you know, grab, beats, block, and all that kind of stuff, you know. Some base concepts, like, you know, Okizeme, like, corner pressure, even though it's a bit jank in Strive, but, you know. You know, positioning, neutral advantage and disadvantage, just, you know, very base concepts that, I'm not going to overwhelm anyone with. And like I said, I'm glad that I am talking about this out loud, because I've been realizing even doing this stream, some things I've been saying earlier have been very, like, yeah, we're going too much in detail there, like, we're going to scare people off, we need to not do that. But, you know, plus points for doing more of this stream. But, yeah, so, curriculum. I'm going to not go off on a tangent about it this time. I promise. Yes, we've got base fighting game concepts, and then we've got, like, I guess what the more character-specific things would be. And I'm fine to give people some examples of what the characters can do, but what I more want to impress on them, once the very basics are learned, like once the groundwork is laid, is like, here is your toolbox. Here is how you find and hone tools to put in it. Here is how you use those tools. Which is an analogy I kind of came up with mentally. But, like, you know, learning a combo in a training mode, or going in and, like, working out, oh, in this scenario, maybe I could do this, and then trying it out. And I used to do this in Smash all the time. And I'm not talking just, like, in-game as well, but, like, I used to just lie there in bed and being like, can I do this after this? Or, like, can I do this in response to this? And I used to just think up, mainly with King DDD, just, like, these kind of, like, weird Gordo setups. Where I'm like, okay, so if I do, like, you know, if I throw a Gordo and then someone hits it back, can I, like, short hop back forward air, try and hit it back again, and also to mix up timing between that and, like, just inhaling and spitting it out back? Like, is that a thing I can do? And, you know, some of them are more successful than others. I don't know why that was the specific example that came to head. But, like, you know, there was specific examples against specific characters, but the point is, I had that kind of mentality where I was like, okay, you know, is that a tool I can build? It's like, you know, I knew that I could go look that up. I could go try it in, like, a training mode or something. And then I could take it online and try using that tool, which, as anyone who's ever played a fighting game before will tell you, landing a combo in training mode and landing it, like, in the wild are two entirely different skill sets that you need to train, unfortunately. Like, it's just the way it is, but, like, doing it under pressure and doing it, you know, in the comfort of your own home while you're kind of half watching, like, you know, like, you got a stream on in the background, you're just there in training mode, landing this thing, like, 20 times in a row, no problem. And you try and land it once when you get the one opportunity in a real match, and, like, your fingers just turn to, like, lead. Oh. But, yeah, you know, what I mean by all of this, you know, rambling about tools and toolboxes, is that I want to be able to give people the ability and the mentality to find these things out without feeling overwhelmed or, like, tilted. And just be able to take them kind of, like, one step at a time through some things like, you know, maybe if their character's got some particularly good tools, I can highlight, this is a good tool, and this is why, you know, and try and keep it in, like, as general a terms as I can. Like, obviously, some characters will have good moves because in their system-specific thing, it's great. Looking at you, Happy Chaos, with your stupid King Gun cancels. Ugh, God, why does that character do the things that he does? But, yeah, I'm sure everyone, well, almost everyone, I guess the Happy Chaos players won't, but, like, almost everyone in Strive agrees with me on that one, and just like, why do you do the things you do? But yeah. What was I saying? Curriculum. That's what I want to impart to people. Like, I want to get the basics laid. I want to get obviously some system mechanics for whichever game I've decided is going to be, like, the training game for them, whichever one they wanted to learn most. But I want to make it so that, like, it's transferable as much as I can as well. So whatever they learn in the dojo, you know, for however long I run it for, I still need to work on that endpoint. And I think maybe that endpoint is simply, like, I guess a mix of when they can start picking up their own tools and when they've, you know, or I guess when they're happy, you know, when they're all mostly happy. Because some of them will want to continue on, and no doubt, and reach, like, a certain rank. Some of them will just be like, cool, I understand this now, so I can, you know, get it from a spectator's point of view. Which is a perfectly fine way of doing it, you know. But, yeah. That's kind of my rough plans for, the dojo streams anyway. Obviously, there's going to have to be a lot of setup. Like, I think I'm definitely want to do my matchup analysis videos as that I talked about earlier as, like, a priority. Ooh, no, wait, hold on. Before I start wrapping that up, there is one other question I've just remembered. that I wanted to try and come up with an answer for. I'd actually probably just need that on the end. Yeah, okay. So, if someone falls behind, you know, what do I do? Because the thing about having, you know, like, I guess a class of, you know, however many VTubers, is if I take, you know, just, you know, 4 people who are interested, or 6, you know, 4 to 6 people who are interested, if they're, like, differing levels of keen, some of them are obviously going to spend a lot more time outside, you know, learning stuff, you know, learning what's good with their character, I guess, and playing matches and kind of getting it, you know, getting it really kind of like nailed down and having a blast with it. And some people might be content to just, you know, just play in the dojo, kind of like group, as it were, because that's where they feel good at. Like, you know, they feel like they're going to get completely stomped online, so they save their matches and their practice for the teaching streams, which obviously creates a bit of disparity, because then the person who's been, you know, really going for it all week is probably going to trounce like the others. Now, granted, it probably still won't be as hard as, you know, like if they'd gone and found, you know, some absolutely god-tier guy online. But the point is, once a wall gets so tall, like, you know, that you feel like, oh, I can't beat this, it can become quite mentally disparaging. So the question is, how do I combat that? And, like, my only answer at the minute, maybe I'll come up with one, you know, more in a bit. And if anyone does have an answer to this, do feel free to let me know, because I think this is a tough one. But yeah, my only way to kind of combat this is maybe, I don't want to impose limits on how much people are playing games outside the stream. That's silly. I'm trying to get people into fighting games, not saying you can only play it when I'm watching you, because that's stupid. Yeah. I guess maybe try and group people by how much time they'd envision putting in, but even that's a bit ropey, because, like, you know, maybe they've never tried before, and maybe once they start learning the basics, they love it, and they really want to go hard. I don't want to stop them doing that. So, yeah, what do? Like, the other option is, I guess, you know, I could, you know, I don't want to give, like, I don't want to feel like I have, well, I don't have to in any case, but I don't want people to feel like I have to, is how I'm trying to phrase that. Like, give them, like, extra lessons or something if they're falling behind, because, again, that's just, like, you know, that's not good for, you know, anyone, because it just makes them feel slow. Well, that's not the case at all. Like, different people learn at different rates, even if they play the same amount. It's just part of being human, and also as part of being, you know, part of the human experience, TM. People have different life situations, and, you know, different interest levels, and therefore they're able to invest different amounts of time in it, you know, like, you're probably going to end up with a bit of smorgasbord of ranges of ability, no matter what you do. So how do I stop the people at the bottom, you know, from saying, oh, you know, this just isn't for me. If they've, if they've previously expressed interest in it. Because I don't want anyone leaving feeling upset, is what I'm mainly trying to get at here. And yeah, I think maybe my best option, that I've thought of is, like, if a particular person is doing very well, or I've noticed someone else is doing badly, I might just give suggestions as to, like, how to break the good person setups, I guess. Because, like I said, I think there's so much I can do with teaching people to find tools and then use tools, but, like, I've got to be there, I guess, so I can keep an eye on things, and if things get too, like, you know, if someone feels like they're really not, if someone looks like they're really, you know, not having a good time, as it were, I want to be able to step in and say, like, hey, you know, if you press this here, you can get out of this situation, and you can go back to trying to play, like, you know, your neutral that you'd kind of been thinking about. And obviously, you know, that presents its own difficulties, mainly being that I am one man who is, you know, not bad at fighting games, but I'm not like a pro who knows every single thing about every single fighting game, because I don't think anyone is. I think anyone who claims to be is, you know, like, questionable, shall we say. Not impossible. You know, there's a certain couple of people maybe, like, who I could think, yeah, I could see that. But for the average, you know, for the average Joe, I'm not so sure. I'm really not so sure. So, yeah, I guess in the absence of them being able to invest, you know, the time, or maybe just even in the absence of, you know, them being able to apply the tools they've prepared, I need to be able to step in and say, and give, you know, give the little tips that'll help even things up a bit. Because that'll make the better players better, because they'll be able to practice against counterplay. And it'll make the, you know, players who are still learning, or learning a bit slower, feel better, because they'll be able to, you know, not feel like they're just up against this wall, which is exactly what I'm trying to avoid. Because, you know, these people might be nervous from going on, like, ranked, and that's kind of what I want to alleviate with this. If they don't want to go online because they've heard that fighting game players are, you know, scary and have all been playing since, like, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 from, you know, like, I don't know, 1800 BC or whenever that thing came out. Actually wasn't that long ago, but it's just funny to kind of see Marvel players mold. I'm kidding. Oh, nah, Marvel's great. But, yeah. What was I saying before I started ragging on Marvel players for no reason? I don't know why I did that, because like I said, Marvel's a great game. Or MVC, I should say. Like, they're, you know, but they're really fun, you know, really highly treasured legacy games. Well, and, yeah. Bleh, words, I've completely lost my train of thought. Damn, and it was going so well. What was I on about? I was on about... That was it. Yeah. Okay, I'm back. Back in the room. But yeah, so if I give tips in those kind of situations, and I'm on hand to do so, then the better players get to practice against counterplay. The, like, slower learning players get, to, you know, feel like they have a weapon against the chaos, as it were. And feel less like, you know, they're against this unstoppable wall. It does mean I have to be on hand to, you know, give said advice in the matches, at least, you know, on the streams and that. And it also means I have to know the counterplay. Now, I would hope that in most situations, particularly if it's just, you know, newbies versus newbies, that, like, no one's going to pull out some incredibly fucked up setup that I'm just like, yeah, I got no idea, chief. Some moves in that, though, like, I won't necessarily know myself. But again, maybe those are the opportunities where I instead say, okay, I'm not 100% on that either. Let's work on labbing it, you know, let's find a tool. And I think that could be, you know, that could be very cool. But yeah. So I guess that was basically all I had in mind. We've been going for, yeah, an hour and a bit now. Just a nice little kind of shorter stream, I suppose. And yeah, you know what? That's fine by me. I've got a lot more of an idea of what I want to do now. Like, I've got that my priority needs to be on these matchup videos. And then once I've kind of, I guess, established myself as someone who can teach things about fighting games, opposed to, you know, just plays them and doesn't get into Celestial. Which is not my fault this month, to be fair. Because, boy, I sure would get into Celestial if I could, you know, get into floor 10 either. But, or even just the ranked tower as a whole. But, yeah, no. These servers are just not letting that happen this month. But, yeah. If I can kind of, like, get those videos going, establish myself as a bit of a presence in that way, and then, I guess, come up with, like, a slightly more concrete curriculum, and then call in my first batch, of, you know, see if I can put the call out, as it were. If I can find a batch of VTubers who want to learn fighting games in, like, a kind of, you know, in an everyone's new environment. And then, yeah, I shall put my curriculum to the test and see how we go. But that's all in the future. like I say, as for now, we've got the matchup streams. We've got potentially some other fighting games. Like I'm you know, while Street Fighter 6 and Strive are both effectively like not out, I'm probably gonna do some well, Strive ranked is not out, but like I think lobbies are still okay if you can hit them right. So we'll give it a go. But yeah. I can do some, like, maybe some Plus R, maybe some Street Fighter 5. Haven't played either of those games in a while, but I can certainly practice some combos off stream and then see if I can work on, you know, the neutral and figuring out what characters do in those streams, because both of those games obviously are ones where people are going to have been playing since the dawn of time, and they're going to require a lot of thinking on my end mid-match, so I don't want to be faffing around with combos when there's a lot of that to be done, essentially. And yeah, I think that's it for the immediate future. Oh, and also, obviously, you know, the poker streams are still coming. Love me a good poker stream, particularly since I've been feeling like I've been getting a better eye in for that. I do want to do a poker study stream at some point as well. Like, I just want to work out how to use the solvers, man. And for it to not cost me, like, you know, if not to be some dude on the internet being like, oh yeah, pay me 200 quid and I'll, you know, maybe tell you something. It's like, dude, I just want a guide to the solvers that isn't in some, like, dense, you know, dense incomprehensibility, shall we say. And also, I'm probably going to be doing another drinking stream, at some point in the near future. I'm going to check that, actually. Because next weekend will be the 8th and 9th, and then the 15th and the 16th I can't do. So I guess it's 8th, 9th, or 22nd, 23rd. I'm not sure which of those weekends it'll be, but one of them will have a drinking stream. And I'll be coming up with 2 more new cocktails. I shall maybe put out a bit of advertising on that this time, actually, because I want to see if yeah, that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll make it on the 22nd or the 23rd, and I'll construct a cocktail or a couple of cocktails based on people who, like, reply, I guess. Something I'm gonna have to do before Twitter decides it doesn't let people do that anymore. Yeah, that would be interesting, I think. Because it means that, obviously, you know, I've just been picking, like, you know, like, the Hololive, the Niji Sanji, the, like, you know, a couple of big kind of indie, you know, VTubers and that. But it'd be nice to get some, like, you know, some cocktails of, like, you know, smaller VTubers in there. I think that'd be kind of like a nice little community thing if I just did one stream where I did a couple of smaller cocktails. Cocktails for smaller streamers doesn't mean the cocktail size itself has to be small. But yeah, I think I am in rapid need of another drink, and also rapidly approaching kind of like the end of the amount of steam I have for this sort of Zatsudans. As I've mentioned a couple of times now, they're not my normal forte, so the fact I've lasted for an hour and a quarter just bouncing off myself, essentially, I'm pretty proud of. I'm taking that as a W. And I will be taking that and leaving at this juncture, I believe. So, thank you very much, those of you who've sat here and listened to me. I hope I've been some nice background noise, really. And yeah, I will see you all next time. Farewell.